welcome to this episode of the Golf Tier System Future You Pathway webinar series. For those of you who are new to the program, my name is Coach TJ. I own academies both in Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada, and also Vancouver, Canada. And I've been a golfer since the age of 12. I've played junior college and amateur golf, and I went to the University of Washington, and I played there for 4 years and captained the team for 3 years. During that time, I ended up winning 4 times, and then I ended up becoming actually a teacher as a freshman for the school. And I think that's where the passion of teaching really got me. Our golf academies both specialize in junior placement from the age of 5 to 18, and we have placed hundreds of kids using our Future You Pathway program to the college of their dreams. I'm also want to introduce my esteemed co-host, Coach Michael Hughes. Coach Michael Hughes, before joining the Future You Pathway, was the Brown University coach for the last 17 years. He's then retired. And before then, he started his career in Florida at the PGA National, where he met the likes of Dr. Gary Wiring and Jim Flick. And through that, he met Ken Venturi. Ken Venturi, as you know, he won the 1964 US Open, and he's a specialist in short games. So soon after, Coach Hughes went to the Ken Venturi Academy in Chicago, where he was the director of golf for 6 years. Since then, he got into becoming the assistant coach at DePaul, and then there was a worldwide search for somebody to go to Brown University, and he landed that coveted job. So Coach Hughes also has a huge passion for helping junior golfers get along the way. So Coach Hughes, we've done many camps together. Coach Hughes has been to Vancouver, we've been to Ireland together, and Coach Hughes and I actually formed the company, and we had a camp at China. We took the 8 Ivy League coaches Northwestern and to China in 2017. Coach Hughes, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I want to introduce myself to Coach here because I've never met him before, but we appreciate you coming on here and joining us. The trip that TJ was talking about was a whirlwind adventure for me. It seems like just yesterday we were flying out of Vancouver out to Shanghai, but I'd like to think that we have helped bring golf to the forefront for the young golfers in China. Maybe witnessed by Hao Tong Lee, I'm sorry, I keep mispronouncing his name, but his recent runner-up finish at the Open at Royal Portrush just goes to show that China is now in the forefront, but we're looking to impact and influence children and student athletes throughout the world. But anyway, it's nice to meet you here. We're glad you joined us, and we look forward to your insight.
Yeah, Coach Russell Pick of Embry-Riddle, Prescott, Arizona. Love to have you on. Thank you for joining us. So for those of people out there who don't really know about your background, can you give us some information?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Coach TJ and Mike, for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, a little bit about myself. Currently the head coach at Embry-Riddle University. We're located in Prescott, Arizona. This is going on my 3rd season here shortly. We got our student athletes moving in here next week. So really excited to get going on my 3rd season here. Prior to taking this job, I spent some time in South Dakota. That's where I was born and raised. Played my college golf there at South Dakota State, made my way to Dakota Wesleyan, where I'd go on to graduate and get my coaching experience started there. So spent some time in South Dakota, playing my golf growing up and getting into coaching, and then was lucky enough to land this job at Embry-Riddle, and really happy to be here and happy to chat with you guys today.
That's great.
I want to go out on a limb here to show my knowledge of the Badlands. The South are those the Jackrabbits?
South Dakota State are the Jackrabbits. You are correct.
Did you have any kids from Canada on your team?
Yes.
Did you have Zach?
At Dakota Wesleyan, when I got there, South Dakota State, when I was there briefly, we did not. When I transferred my way to Dakota Wesleyan, we did have an individual from Canada, and he was a heck of a player and a good friend of mine, and a good teammate.
Oh, nice.
Okay, well, let's see if we can start out with some just basic questions here. Um, Coach, what would you say is the difference between a Division III school and some of your counterparts in Division II and Division I? Could
But
you,
he's in an NAI, Prescott's
I
in
meant, I'm
NAI.
sorry,
Yeah.
meant to say
Yep.
NAIA. But the
Yeah.
difference between the different levels of competition, if you will?
Yeah, good question. So, with us, operating as an NAIA school, there's definitely a few differences, and we can kind of go into a little bit of the differences on the competitive side, and maybe touch a little bit on what that looks like from time management and academic standpoint for students too. When I talk to people who are kind of asking those questions and just trying to get a feel for the differences. NAIA typically you're gonna get the smaller institutions, so they're not going to be your larger state schools, obviously. So student body population is typically going to be a little bit smaller. I always like to think it's a little bit more of a balance between academics and athletics. Competition wise, at the top level with NAIA, you're going to get tremendous competition no matter what. Our top kids can compete with any of the top kids in the country. Now, top to bottom, there's less and fewer schools at the NAIA level. So top to bottom, maybe that competition isn't as elite, say as Division I. But comparatively, when people ask, I would throw us in the mix to being very comparable to what most Division II schools operate like. And myself included, just from a coaching standpoint, we talk a lot about trying to run our program like a Division I team. So being very disciplined, showing up, setting goals each day, trying to get better, and having that elite mindset that we can compete with the best no matter what. But no, once again, kind of the differences there. I feel like we put maybe a little bit more emphasis on the academic side at the NAIA level. That's especially at Embry-Riddle. That's just a huge standard that we have, and a little bit better balance maybe between travel, and kind of just what goes into it. I'd like to say at NAIA, we have a little bit better time management and balance for our student athletes.
Great. I have a question, a little bit off topic. I went to the big Div 1 school, but both my children went to NAIA schools, one in North Dakota and one in Florida. What's your percentage of student athlete population and overall versus the the student athlete? So for instance, where my daughter went, 80% of the student athletes out of 1,200 kids were athletics.
Yeah, good question. So it's funny. Where I was coaching previously, I think it was 75% of our student body was in athletics. So that was extremely geared to, if you were at that school, you're most likely a student athlete. Here at Embry-Riddle, that looks a little bit different. We're actually of probably more the higher end of student body population for an NAIA school. I think we're 3,000 to 4,000 students. So the percentage here, I don't know the exact number, but it is a lot less than that. So you don't get that as much here, like I said, just because we are such a STEM focused academic school. That doesn't, athletics isn't only what we're about here, which is kind of nice to have that balance too with both. Because yeah, where I came from before, and like you said, that those schools, it was almost everyone you kind of came across was an athlete. That is certainly not the case here.
Okay, interesting. So for as an NAIA coach, what do you kind of look for with your golfers or student athletes? You run the men's and women's program. So
Yes. Yep.
that's a big job.
Yeah. So I both men's and women's coach. As far as the student athletes and kind of what we're looking for, mostly from my end, we talk a lot about what kind of makes an Embry-Riddle student athlete and kind of what we're looking for. Specifically, we usually tend to talk with, or I'm trying to form relationships with recruits and student athletes who want to be here for Embry-Riddle, not just the athletics. We boast a lot more than just our accomplishments on the athletic side. So it really is talk a lot about you're a student first, then athlete. And that's certainly the case here. And the focus is on the career pathways. And then on the athletic side, hey, it's a bonus that we get to do this. And these kids are great at kind of having the discipline to be able to handle both the academic workload and what we try to accomplish and strive for, as far as an excellent standpoint goes in athletics too.
Okay, great.
Coach, how do they get on your radar? Are you someone that goes and recruits in person? Do you go to camps? Do you go by the internet, AJGA events? How can a student athlete get on your radar?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would like to think that, I try to keep it as open and balanced as I can. I don't have any one set way of trying to find an athlete. Like I just touched on before, a lot of the students who are interested in coming here, it's kind of set up for their career pathway anyways. Obviously, we're an aeronautical school. So if you're a pilot or an engineer and you also happen to be really good at golf, we're a school that's probably on your radar anyways. So
Yes.
I'm lucky enough to get a lot of people reaching out to me without me having to do a lot of the deep diving. Because if you're just interested in, finding a school that you can play golf at, and you're just thinking about getting kind of a business degree on the side, we're probably not that school for you. We're a little bit more geared towards those STEM programs. So, like I said, what's nice for me is I get a lot of kids that do reach out to us specifically because of the type of school we are. Now, on my end, how I kind of operate and try to recruit, taking this job, I didn't quite know the region and how recruiting would be. It goes from everywhere though, getting in touch with high school coaches, recruiting at the local high school events here down in Phoenix or around the Prescott area. The AJGA stuff's being in stuff with, in touch with the results. And if it's a kid who, I can find maybe a recruiting profile and they have something on there that, they may be interested in the program we have, then those are the kids I'm going to start kind of reaching out to. But it starts with having a focus of academically a good fit has to be kind of the first priority for us. But yeah, I do, a little bit of everything, travel, high school events, junior events throughout the summer, trying to keep in touch. And if there is someone I'm in touch with, certainly always try to watch them a couple times in their junior career to get a really good feel for their game and their attitude, of course.
Right. That brings me to another question. So you're out watching some players. What's one thing I learned from Coach Hughes is like what's a no-no for you? What's a no-go for a player? And what's a yeah, I like this kid's attitude. Like what are you seeing?
Yeah, I need to see a sense of keeping their head up, and staying true to the game plan. So I mean, that's the big reason why as a college golf coach, you need to go and watch these recruits because you can tell a lot about a person, how they handle themselves in competition. Say if you have, 3 bogeys in a row, from my experience, the better players and the type of, student athlete I want on my team is going to keep their head up and stay focused and not let it get to them. So it's the little attitude thing, seeing how they handle the disappointments that come with golf. We're all going to have those bad stretches, but are you mature enough to regulate your emotions and keep your head up, not get disappointed and sad or pouty or throw a club? So it's a lot of the easy stuff that I test to just kind of see attitude wise, is this an individual I want around my team? Is it going to make our team look better or worse? Because for me, I want our athletes to represent us as a whole. It's bigger than just our golf program. You're representing our university as well. So, yeah, it's a little bit of just that maturing and attitude on the course. Just this last week, recruiting here at Antelope Hills, I got to see a lot of kids who what was great is I saw a couple of poor shots or bad breaks. And some of these individuals I was watching had a great way of almost laughing it off. Like, hey, it happens. They kind of laughed it off and they went right to the next shot. So those are the things I'm looking for is, yeah, can you kind of laugh at some of the bad breaks that we get in golf and go on from there?
Mhm. And even Coach Hughes would say you're not only representing Brown, but you're representing me.
Yes.
You're a reflection on me.
Of course. Yep. And we touched on that a lot. How, the last thing I want to hear is a complaint from another player or coach about, one of my players' attitude. So people pay attention to those things, and that means a great deal to me to look for those types of students who are going to represent us well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Coach, let me give you this final question here. What's your timeline? If you're a young man or a young woman that's looking to go to Embry-Riddle, do you have a time span? I know in the Ivy League we used to say never too early, never too late. But I'm sure with such a high academic standard that you've got there, you have to pay attention to test scores if, in fact, you have test scores that are not optional. But how about official visits, unofficial visits, writing it to you? What's your advice to a young man or young woman that's trying to get in front of you?
Yeah, I think how I've operated is preferably I would like to get contact started, early on as they're maybe entering their junior season, and then be able to kind of line up a visit during their junior year. Seeing where they stand academically. Usually at that junior year in high school, you have a pretty good idea of what they're going to be bringing in, kind of from the academic standpoint, and hopefully from an athletic side as well. So yeah, junior year, I want to definitely have some communication going already, line up, hopefully an official visit during their junior year. That way, maybe that summer leading into their senior season, that's where I can start looking at, kind of who am I going to offer for that upcoming year, and get my offers out hopefully that summer, and then hopefully, work out kind of the commitments early fall and have recruiting typically done for that next year around December. But yeah, it's the earlier the better. But I've also had late things come up where we make it work way later than I would typically want.
Sure.
But it really just depends. But I'm a coach who kind of likes to have my recruiting kind of set and done before our fall season really hits too hard. That's why that junior year is really key for me, being able to have that communication, watch them in a tournament, have them on a campus visit during that junior year, and have the offer hopefully that summer leading into their senior season.
Okay, I have a question regarding the NAIA system. How is the NAIA system slightly different from like an official offer than, say, a Division I NCAA?
Yeah, good question. So I think there's some differences with that. I think the we're known at NAI level for having probably a little bit lax rules compared to NCAA. I don't, we really don't have those dead periods. I know we can reach out maybe even a little bit earlier than NCAA coaches can. I don't know the exact ins and outs of what a Division I program looks like as far as when they can kind of start offering. I think maybe that's after they've begun sophomore year. I can't remember exactly, but a little bit more laid back on the NAIA side. There's really no set rules on times where I can't contact a prospective student athlete, so it's a little bit more open on that. So from my standpoint, I can offer. I won't offer anyone earlier than a junior season is typically where I go with that.
So,
Great.
so if I'm in, I just want to ask one more thing. So if I'm
Yep.
in grade 11 and I'm great, and Embry-Riddle is my only school,
Yes.
I finish my grade 11 year and it's like June 1, could we have an official agreement on June 1st? If I'm going to
Yes.
grade 12?
Yeah, you from that standpoint, you could have an official offer from me, which is going to lay out what we're going to do from the athletic standpoint. The academic standpoint, obviously, we'll have to wait a little bit till their transcripts come in, as they finish up their senior year. But from my end, I could get that done, especially if it's a kid I'm very high on who fits the mold for our standards in academics. If if it's a kid who really wants to come here and I really want them, I'm going to get that out as early as possible. So yes.
What early as possible. Okay, that's good. So
Yep.
nice. Nice.
Wow, that was very informative. I'm going to say this, we've had some great guests on here and all of them are very articulate and well-spoken, and Coach, if hit the mold, would be someone I'd like to tee it up for.
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate that, Mike. That means a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, I'd play for you.
There we go. Well, thank you guys a lot. Yeah, I appreciate that so much.
We can't fly a plane though, at least I can.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you fly a plane?
You know, what's funny is people ask me since getting here, like, if I working on my pilot's license or anything, but no, I cannot. I've got some students I've went up with, and I've learned that you learn a lot simply just being around these, pilots, and it's really fascinating. I think it's something, maybe if I feel like I had the time, it would be great to kind of work at that someday, but no, I cannot at this time, unfortunately.
You get a lot of military kids?
Yeah, so not specifically on our golf program, but we have an ROTC program. I know that's very popular here at our school.
Um,
Well, I would have to think that if you're going to fly an airplane, you're going to have to be a very mature student.
Yes, and I think that's why I'm so lucky to coach here, because I have students who they just seem to be very mature, disciplined, intelligent kids at a young age coming in right away. So yeah, I mean, to go through what they have to go through, it's these are students who I'm impressed by each and every day, and they go on to do such cool things that yeah, I'm lucky to be able to coach them.
And I'm sure you still have kids that have already graduated from the program and they're still going, Coach Russell, and they're still reaching out to you.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I would love to stay in touch with all of our kids who graduate. It's like just touched on seeing what some of these kids from Embry-Riddle get to do once they graduate and go on is fascinating. We got we've had individuals right away with contracts with Boeing, NASA, Honeywell. I mean, these kids are going to set up extremely well with career opportunities. So staying in touch with them, seeing what they're getting up to is pretty awesome for me to kind of hear what they get to do. Whether it's some of our engineers getting a mechanical or aerospace job in the engineering careers is fascinating, and then having some of our pilots start their training to become commercial pilots. So it's pretty cool.
So just one is so if I graduate as a pilot, then I can get fast tracked into like, blah 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 airlines or whatever. Is that right?
Yep. Yep. So you kind of get fast track, you get the hours, you get those connections and opportunities to yeah, start working with some of those major commercial, if that's what
If
your intention is. So yeah, and that's the thing. Embry-Riddle is really known as being one of the top flight programs in the entire country. You have great reputation if you get through here and graduate. So yeah, it just set up well for careers. I think it's over 90% job placement within a year of graduation here. And the alumni network and the people you get to know around here is fantastic too. It's just a lot of pathways to help have a good career.
wow.
Well, I get the right guy leading the plan, so that's great to hear.
They do.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on today and we're hoping to have you on again.
Yes, would love to. Yeah, thanks again for having me. It's been great to chat a little bit. So thanks
And
again.
also to have you on as University ID camp and coming to either Las Vegas or Vancouver, Canada.
Yes. Yes, would love to be able to make it there.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Appreciate it.